if there was one scene where I wish they redid it, it would be this one. Who isn't obsessed with heated rivalry at this moment? I have been obsessed, like I feel like everyone on the planet has been, and I just wanted to talk about it. The good, the hot, the cute, and maybe even a little bit about the bad, but only in the form of loving criticism, of course. If you haven't heard of heated rivalry yet, what are you doing? I'm just kidding. But if you haven't heard about it yet, to put it in very simple terms, it is a smutty gay hockey show. And it blew the F up. It being a hit definitely wasn't on anyone's bingo cards, as they literally made the show with like $5 and a dream, and they went from a premiere looking like this to the actors presenting at US award shows, to being on late night talk shows, and having a BuzzFeed thirst tweet interview. For weeks, the show has been number 1 on HBO Max, and when episode 5 came out, it became the second highest episode rated on IMDb. It's actually crazy, and for the longest time, I didn't know if this was actually big or if I was like in a sort of bubble, because for the past few months my entire feed has just been heated rivalry. And also for years now, my feed has been geared towards media like heated rivalry, because I've watched shows like Scum. If you know, you know. So anyways, I wasn't sure if this was just gonna be like a big niche thing, or if this was like actually big. And so I told myself that if any one of them makes it on Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Fallon is like the only talk show host I kind of follow, and I know like famous things make it on there. So I told myself if any one of them makes it on Jimmy Fallon, I will finally believe it. And a week later, we get this announcement. So yes, now I believe.
I believe.
Before I get into this video, again, there is nothing but love coming from me. I am like truly obsessed. I love this show. I have a few criticisms here and there, but those are just like my opinions and my reactions. But at the end of the day, I love the show the same, and I hope you guys do too. So let's get started. So the show starts with the introduction of our two main characters, Shane Hollander from Canada and Ilya Rozanov from Russia. They are the two most promising prospects to get drafted into the MLH, the Major Hockey League. They meet for the first time at a prospect cup as Shane introduces himself first. They have this like almost awkward interaction, which I love. A couple months later, they both get drafted, Ilya being drafted first and Shane second. Ilya gets drafted to the Boston Raiders and Shane gets drafted to the Montreal Metros.
I can't tell you how excited Montrealans are about this. We don't care he came in number 2. People are popping champagne all over Quebec. Oh, and just to be clear, we are thrilled that Shane is Asian or Asian Canadian. Very thrilled.
I also love that Shane is Asian Canadian. Probably not for the same reason that dude is saying it for, but I can't find it anymore. But I remember reading that it was very important for the creator, Jacob Tierney, to highlight the Asian side of Shane and just love. And throughout the show, they show like little details to highlight it, like the classic.
Do I take my shoes off?
No, you're good.
And then also Ilya naturally taking his shoes off because it's an Asian household. King behavior right there. Now with season 2 announced, I hope they continue this and maybe show even a little bit more. Like I would love maybe to see some Asian food or maybe a Japanese home cooked meal. Just putting it out there though. Going back to the scene though, they do something that I absolutely love, and that is the use of zooms. It's such a great way to center the story on just Shane and Ilya. It puts us into their world, their emotions, and their thoughts. Like with this scene, nothing else matters. It's just about Shane and Ilya. And the use of zooms kinda become the show's go-to move to highlight them and the emotions they're feeling in that particular scene. The use of zooms really allow us to see and feel a character's emotional state in the scene, like this one. We can really feel that Ilya is not having a good time. And then we have this zoom in of Shane watching Ilya's team on TV, and we can really feel that Shane is maybe feeling some things for Ilya. But we're not there yet. After the draft, they start getting ad deals, including one where they're shooting an ad together. After the ad shoot, they take a shower. Eyes wander, and Shane gives his hotel room number.
1410?
Like his life depends on it, even though 2 seconds earlier he wanted to forget everything.
We can forget that happened in there, okay?
This begins their sexual relationship, and a couple months after that, they meet up and hook up again. But actually, very important to note, and I'm not being like a creep about this, this is actually very important to highlight, they don't go all the way yet. This basically concludes the first episode. I have read the book, and I'm not here to compare and contrast all these like little details and say, oh, they didn't include this or whatever. I don't care. But one thing I do want to mention, and something that stuck out to me, is that the beginning of the book and the beginning of the show kind of have different tones. And what I mean by that is that in the show, I can already tell that they are focusing more on Shane and Ilya's relationship and them falling in love first, while the book focuses on their rivalry first. How the book starts and how the show starts is actually really important to highlight, because it's like the first impression, right? So in the show, it starts with their first meeting. So the audience is immediately introduced to them as two strangers, and we know we will see them fall in love, etc., etc., right? In the book, it starts with a future scene. It is a game between Montreal and Boston, and so we are introduced to Shane and Ilya right away as rivals who seemingly hate each other. And on the first page, this is what the book already writes. The most hated man in Montreal, Ilya Rozanov. The near-century-old rivalry between the Montreal and Boston NHL teams had, over the past 6 seasons, become personified by Hollander and Rozanov. Their intense animosity was clear even to the fans in the farthest, cheapest seats. So, from the get-go, Ilya is introduced as an arrogant prick, so that already establishes to us the dynamic and the relationship of these two characters. Rivals who don't get along, and there's no way they do, right? And then the scene goes on and the unexpected happens. We see Shane and Ilya meet up after the game and hook up. And in that hookup, we find out a lot about their relationship. That it's been going on for years, that Shane hates himself for it, but he can't stop it. And that it's just a hookup for them, nothing more. Maybe underlying feelings that they are not realizing right now, but it's just a hookup. The show does build the rivalry.
Are we going to see? Oh, listen to that crowd. And there you have it. It's Ilya Rosanov versus
Shane Hollander.
Here we are at the MLH All-Star Game, and the theme this year is Team Hollander versus Team Rosanov. Oh, I'm sorry I read that wrong. It's Team North America versus Team Europe.
But not to the extent of the book. And in the first episode, this rivalry kind of gets overshadowed by these moments that definitely tell you that it's not just a hookup. There's no way someone smiles like that at someone they hate. And there's no way people kiss like that without it meaning anything. So the show and the book are just giving us two different interpretations of their relationship. I love the book of just giving us this angst for rooting for these characters, but them like trying to deny it every step of the way. And I love the show for giving us them falling in love first, them first connecting, and then kind of the world pitting them against each other afterwards. Back to the story though, Shane and Ilya are texting each other for the next 2 years. And after those 2 years, they finally decide to go all the way this time. Going back to my previous point, there is no way that at this moment, this is just a hookup, especially with a kiss like this.
Bye.
Shane is definitely falling in love, and the creator actually fought to keep the kiss like this. As he said, I remember being at the monitor and my intimacy coordinator and producer were like, is that kiss too sweet? I remember just being like, I don't care, it's so good, it's sweet, I want it to exist. I love the kiss, and I love that they included it, even if maybe it is a little too sweet. So this is where their hooking up relationship really starts. And in the midst of this, we get more information on the characters' family dynamics and backstory, especially Ilya's, and how that differs drastically from Shane's. So, for example, we find out that Ilya's dad is not doing too well. And we also find out that Ilya's brother is demanding money from him. So overall, his life in Russia is something he wants to leave behind. The only good thing there is his occasional hookup and only friend, Svetlana. Svetlana is like the only source of support that Ilya has at this point. And in the book, she actually doesn't have that big of a role. So I really like that they changed that and gave her a bigger role in the show. A big theme actually for the show that we will see actually a lot later on is female support. So I really love that they gave Ilya a female figure that wholeheartedly loves him and supports him too. Going back to the story, we are now introduced to a new couple. If you are not too familiar with the books, there are actually 6 of them. Shane and Ilya's story is covered in the 2nd and the 6th book. And right now, we are being introduced to the couple in the 1st book. The whole 3rd episode is dedicated to them. And the basic storyline is that we have Scott, the captain of the New York Admirals. On this run, he enters a smoothie shop, and there he meets Kip, the smoothie barista there, and they instantly make a connection. They immediately start dating afterwards, but the problem is that it's a secret. Scott is not ready to come out and wasn't really planning to come out anytime soon because he is a professional hockey player in the MHL and no one has ever come out before. This kind of causes a rift between Scott and Kip, and by the end of the episode, it alludes to the fact that they have either broken up or are at least taking a break, as Kip is celebrating his birthday with his friends at a bar, and Scott is sadly looking in. There were a few things I wanted to mention about this episode overall. First, Francois, who plays Scott, love. I just loved how he portrayed Scott. I loved his performance. Like, I truly fell in love. Not that the other actors aren't doing a good job either. Like Hudson, who plays Shane, and Connor, who plays Ilya, amazing. Like, they deserve all the flowers they're getting right now. But I feel like no one's talking about Francois's performance, and I guess I just fell in love. Like, I just loved everything about how he performed. I just loved everything about his performance as Scott. He might not be blonde, but he is our Scott. Second, that is actually not how I imagined Kip when I read the books. Every time I read him, I imagined like a cute bean for some reason. I don't know if this was just me. Let me know if you guys read him like that too. But honestly, I'm not complaining. Even though the show Kip gave me more like a rugged vibe, I feel like show Kip and show Scott fit perfectly together, and they are adorable. Third, I love Kip's support system. Kip's friend and coworker Maria, I love her.
Extra banana.
Kip's dad is like the dad everyone wants.
I'm proud of your hustle, kiddo. You know, you can get that scholarship anyway.
Please, no jinxing me.
No way. Good night.
And Elena, Kip's best friend, I just have no words. No words. She literally has one of the best lines of the show.
He deserves the best. He deserves sunshine. And so do you.
Fourth, I love the lighting. They do this like warm yellowish lighting in dark spaces, and they do this actually throughout the show, and I just love. It looks beautiful, and it creates this intimate mood. And fifth, I'm in love with Ilya. That's it.
I love you.
Those were my observations during the episode, and now we are back to Shane and Ilya. For the next 2 years, we see them play against each other and hooking up. Now, I can't show this montage because this needs to be PG, but it's actually a really well done montage. I really liked it. The way they cut the scenes together was actually very brilliant. I'll just describe it for you guys. So the first clip we see is just them playing against each other, and Ilya is pushing Shane against the wall. Then it cuts, and we see a scene where again Ilya is pushing Shane against the wall, but in very different circumstances. I just love the way they cut it, because it's such a good way to show that first, that time is passing, and second, that their hooking up is still going strong. And during those 2 years, we also see that Montreal wins the cup twice in a row. And we also see that Ilya is maybe falling in love.
For the first time in 16 years, the Montreal Metros are hoisting the MLH Cup. What a feeling it must be for Captain Shane Hollander.
If they think this is just a hookup at this point, they are dead wrong. And now we get to one of the most anticipated scenes in the show, and it is the tuna melt. Now, overall, I love the scene. They are too freaking cute. But I do have to say that the scene kind of fell flat to me. Like, I didn't get the importance of it and the nuances of it. In the scene, Shane comes over to Ilya's house in Boston for one of their regular scheduled hookups. This time is different though, as Ilya asks him to stay for the first time ever. Shane accepts, and for the first time ever, they just hang out. Ilya makes tuna melts for them. He gives Shane his ginger ale, and they just like chill on the couch watching hockey. On the couch, they start something again, and again, for the first time ever, they call each other by their first names. And then Shane starts freaking out and leaves. Now, this scene was so anticipated because it kind of marks a shift in their relationship from casual hookup to maybe something more. Ilya is definitely falling in love at this point, and Shane is also realizing that Ilya might mean something more to him than he might realize. And so in the scene in the show, the importance of that didn't really shine through for me personally. Again, the scene felt a little flat to me, and that might be because they couldn't fit everything in that they wanted to, and I totally get that. It's probably outside the creator's control to determine how long an episode can be or how many episodes the season can be. And to be honest, I've noticed this, that some of the scenes feel a little rushed, and I feel like that had a lot to do with the time, and I really felt like the show could have benefited from either another episode or so, or just making the episodes longer. But back to the scene though, in the book, Shane actually not only realizes that Ilya is behaving differently from him asking Shane to stay and him making a tuna melt, but Shane actually right away realizes that something is different from the way Ilya is just acting more tender and soft with him. Like Shane notices like little details, like how Ilya is looking at him, kissing him, and touching him. There was something a little too tender in the way Rozanov was looking at him, and there was something that was far too soothing about the way Rozanov's fingers combed through Shane's short hair. Rozanov leaned in and pressed kisses to Shane's hair. They were light and sort of adoring. There's also more importance put on the ginger ale and the tuna melt, as the book writes. I got ginger ale. You like that, right? Yeah, I do. Shane looked at him oddly. Instead of asking Rozanov how the hell he knew he liked ginger ale, or why he cared enough to buy some, he asked, "You want to order takeout or..." And then Rozanov returned with 2 plates that he seemed to put some care into arranging tuna melts, potato chips, and dill pickles on. Shane kind of couldn't believe that Rozanov had made them both dinner. He found it, he realized with some horror, adorable. While the tuna melt and the ginger ale do make it in the show, they don't emphasize it as much as the book does. Like in the book, Shane is really surprised that Ilya knows his beverage of choice. And also, Ilya is putting extra care into the tuna melt. These little details really tell us the headspaces of these two characters and where they currently stand. So it's really like these little details and these little nuances that really make the scene different and important, and because the show didn't emphasize them, I didn't really feel it, and the importance just didn't shine through. Anyways, after Shane freaks out and leaves, he meets Rose, an actress, and they immediately start dating afterwards, which makes Ilya extremely jealous.
Well, it's hard to blame either one. They are definitely one hot couple.
They are fine.
Hey, I was watching that. Good Rose.
Stub my toe.
Their relationship doesn't last long, but it serves as an important event for Shane to realize that maybe he's not really into women. One of the scenes I want to highlight though is a scene where Rose texts Shane before one of his games. one thing that immediately stood out to me is that Shane uses the word babe. Giving a little bit of book context here, but also having seen Shane throughout the show, he isn't someone that uses pen names. So him using that tells us a lot that Shane is probably just using this to kind of make his relationship feel more real. Like it's something that he feels like he has to do. And this just shows how brilliant the show is. Just by including that little word, it already tells us so much information about Shane and his relationship with Rose. Well, after this scene, Shane does meet Rose at the club, and coincidentally, Ilya is there too, because he needs to take his mind off someone being with someone else. All I gotta say about the scene is that it gave me full-on Scum vibes. And if you know, you know. After all these events, Rose also realizes that Shane might not be into women.
Are there any, like, gay hockey players?
I love her subtlety. And after that, we get one of the best conversations of the show, where Shane not only admits that he might be only into guys, but that only one guy is ever on his mind.
Can I ask if you've ever been with another guy? Was it different with a guy?
Of course.
Was it better?
Yeah, it was better.
Now it's the 2017 All-Star Game. First things first, I have to mention this. I love Ilya's Hawaiian shirt, and I hate Shane's outfit. But that just tells you that the styling was great, because that was actually the intention of the costume designer of Heat of Rivalry. Shane is still masking his true identity, who he really is. I think people get used to carrying that weight, and it takes that as a hard nut to crack. At his essence, he's still kind of just a boring dresser. So it wasn't supposed to look great, even though Shane went the extra mile and hired a stylist for that. The scene goes on, and Shane actually reveals to Ilya that he and Rose broke up. And I feel like for one of the first times ever, at least for one of the first times ever for Shane, we see Ilya's dorky side. And of course, we have to get our getting out of the pool slow-mo.
Hey, Linda. Can you give these kids some money? I don't have my wallet.
I love Shane for not answering that question. After he cools down a bit, they meet up at a hotel room, and Shane actually comes out to Ilya. And they also confess to one another that this might be more of a hookup.
It's not just me, right?
Not just you what?
You feel it too?
Ilya then opens up to Shane about his family and his struggles with it, revealing that his dad has dementia and that his mom has died when he was young. And then we get one of the most wholesome, the most cute moment between them.
Hey.
Sorry.
Now they are in their soft era, as I like to call it. They are not together, but they are. And they're just so tender and soft with each other. After one of the games, Ilya finds out that his dad has died, and so he flies to Russia. In Russia, Ilya called Shane, and they have the cutest conversation, but a glasses fetish is also established.
Hey, are you okay?
You wear glasses.
Just for reading. Where are you?
At home. Put them back on, please.
Boston?
Moscow.
Oh. Are you okay?
I will be better when I see you in your glasses again.
Happy?
Happier.
Then we get another phone call between them, and this time Ilya is letting out all his grievances and his struggles with his brother and his dad's death, and overall just his life in Russia. He does it all in Russian, and having the benefit of Shane not understanding, he sneaks something in.
Я так сильно тебя люблю и не знаю, что с этим делать.
Let me just like scream in the corner right now. Ilya returns soon after that, and they have a game against each other. Unfortunately, Shane gets hurt, but as a result of that, we get to see him on drugs in the hospital. And with those drugs, he also asks Ilya to come to his cottage, his home away from home.
I was gonna ask you, Hollander, will you come to my cottage this summer? Don't go to Russia. Come to my house. We'll have so much fun. It's so private. No one will know.
Wonder, you know we can't do that.
We could have a week or even 2. Be completely alone together.
Ilya is a bit hesitant, but luckily not for long, because we get the most important moment of the show, of the series, of everything. We return to Scott and Kip, and Scott decides to change the game. Yes, Scott decides to very publicly come out, and I cannot tell you guys how many times I've watched this scene alone. I just love the scene. I think it's like my favorite scene of this entire season, and not only because it's such an important moment, but also because it's such a beautiful scene, the way they just did it. Like, the music they chose was just perfect. And did you guys see the way they cut the scenes together and the camera movements? Like the way there are zoom ins on Shane, Ilya, and Scott and Kip right before the kiss, which like gears our anticipation, like makes our anticipation grow. And then when the kiss finally happens, the same camera movement that is on Scott and Kip is done on Shane and Ilya. And it's just so well done. It just shows you that this moment is not just for Scott and Kip, but this moment is making an immediate impact on the people watching it in real time, like Shane and Ilya. So I just love the scene, the way they did it, the camera movements, the zooms, the editing, and the beautiful, beautiful music, and just overall this moment. And of course, after this, Ilya decides to come to the cottage.
What the? I'm coming to the cottage.
The next time we see Scott, we are at the MLH Awards, and in his acceptance speech, Scott talks about him coming out, the positive effect it had, and honors his coach, his teammates, and Kip. This is the last time we actually see Scott and Kip in the season, and overall, I loved how the show handled their story. But if there's one thing I want to mention, it is this. I wished we have gotten more context between the last time we saw them and this kiss. Because again, the last time we saw them, it wasn't on a good note. And then this kiss happened. There is a timeline issue, which I will talk about later, but overall, it just doesn't make sense for them having like a huge fight to them basically kissing like nothing happened, and also Scott like publicly coming out, even though the last time we saw him, he wasn't ready at all. In the book, actually, before Scott publicly comes out, he does like baby steps. He comes out to Kip's parents first, and then his coach, and then some of his teammates. And then after that, he finally realizes he's ready to tell the world. So I wished at least we've gotten a little bit of that, because in the show, they actually introduced Carter, Scott's teammate and best friend. So I would just have loved at least for Scott to privately come out to his best friend, because I think that would have been really important to see. But back to Shane and Ilya, we have finally made it to the cottage. They are full on in their relationship era now, and they're so freaking cute. I just love seeing them just like be together. There's like no what ifs, just comfort between them.
This is awkward. This room isn't available to the guests.
Disappointing.
I'm sorry, sir. We'd really like to accommodate you, but... Oh, yeah, the pics are cute. Oh, good. And then Jackie's good, too?
I love how we see more of Ilya's dorkiness, and I love how we see more of Shane letting loose. And they finally make future plans where they can be together.
I have another idea.
What idea? What is happening?
What if you played in Ottawa?
Ottawa is same division as Boston. We're still rivals.
Okay, but listen. First off, super close by. Second, Ottawa needs a star center, and they're nowhere near their cap, so they could definitely afford you. And maybe we could start to change the narrative a bit.
And they also decide to make a charity together to change the narrative of them being rivals. And did you guys see Shane like removing lint or hair from Ilya's chest? Like, these are like the little moments I live for. It just makes them feel so real. But anyways, we also get our I love yous in English this time.
I love you.
Holy shit.
I mean,
I love you too.
And then their dad decides to visit the cottage too.
so we have a little time.
Maybe, if you have in mind.
Nothing that'll take too long. Maybe you should.
Yeah.
Now, if there was one scene where I wish they redid it, it would be this one. I know it's very random, and in the grand scheme of the story, I guess not that important, but I just didn't love the scene, like the way they did it. It fell really flat, and in the scene I didn't get like a surprise or a shock or even like an oh no, his dad is there, which I felt like the scene should have evoked that emotion out of me. The way they revealed the dad was just so boring. In the book, actually, it makes the audience like hold their breath. As Shane and Ilya are making out, this is what's written after. They both heard a noise. They both whipped their heads around. They both saw Shane's dad standing inside the house, staring, frozen, at where they were wrapped up in each other on the deck. I wish in the show we could have just seen first Shane and Ilya making out, like have the camera just be on them, and then suddenly a loud noise happens, like a glass shatter. They both whip their heads around. They see their dad, also surprised, having dropped something. I feel like that sudden noise creates such a good surprise and shock, not only for the characters but for the audience as well, and it creates a more interesting scene and a more interesting way to reveal the dad, I feel like. Well, after that, the dad leaves immediately. Shane freaks out, but they decide to go to his parents' house and explain. At his parents' house, Shane finally comes out to them and introduces them to Ilya.
I'm sorry, you shouldn't have found out that way.
Found out what, exactly?
I'm gay. Which I was going to tell you soon. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. And this is Ilya Rozanov, but you already know that.
Obviously, they are shocked and they have questions like, since when?
So when?
Since our rookie season.
Since your rookie season?
No, it's not true. Since before that.
Not helpful.
Before?
The summer before.
But then afterwards, everything is good. They are officially boyfriends and the parents accept them wholeheartedly and lovingly. And then we get one of the best end credit scenes. It's just them on the car ride back to the cottage, but thank you for giving me something I would actually watch all the way through. Like, give me 10 hours of this and I would watch everything. Like, instead of that like fireplace video people put on the holidays, like I would just put that on the background. This ends the show, but before ending this video, there are a couple of things I want to overall mention about the show. First, I mentioned this before, but the show doesn't really put emphasis on the rivalry as much as it does in the book. And because there's less emphasis on the rivalry now coming to the cottage, it being their main problem now doesn't actually hold that much weight. While in the book, it clearly is the main problem, as it writes. Being gay or whatever was not really the thing that would create the scandal. Biggest rival over the course of your entire NHL career was something that no one would understand. The main reason actually why they come up with the solution of Ilya moving to Ottawa and them making a charity together is to ease the public into their relationship when they do eventually come out. Again, in the beginning, their rivalry is very big from the get-go. And they truly do seem to hate each other, and that is intensified by not only the public but by themselves, as we see how they play against each other in the books. He tripped me. Hey, what the f***, ref? That was tripping. Shane glared up at the ref and then at Ilya, who was looming over him in his Ottawa jersey. You fell, Ilya said. So it makes the impact of the cottage, them finally realizing their feelings, them confessing to each other their I love yous, and the rivalry being a problem at the end so much bigger in the books. I would say personally, I think that was like the biggest difference from the book and the show. But again, I love them both for different reasons. There are some other things I wanted to mention, some critiques I had, but I'm just gonna skim over them because I just realized who cares. So there is that timeline issue, like that weird 2-year gap where Shane and Ilya just texted each other. I know they did that because they wanted Shane and Ilya to finally really hook up in the second episode, but in the story it kind of felt off because it doesn't make sense for them to start something, then take a 2-year break and then do it again. Then of course we have that weird 3-year gap in Scott and Kip's relationship where they went from that ending scene in episode 3 to the kiss. I read actually that was actually a mistake on their part, as Francois mentions. That's not how we shot it. We played it as if it were 6 months long, and then they realized in the edit, when they were combining the two storylines, that something was off. Not to throw anyone under the bus, but the timeline was always the biggest issue to make all these characters and plotlines intertwine. Then there's Shane's ad that played 3 years prior to when it was filmed, and those confusing timestamps of episode 1. But besides that, I could spend another video just talking about how this was filmed. They had some gorgeous shots. They played with symmetry really well, and they had beautiful long one shots that made me just fall in love. All in all, Shane and Ilya are fucking adorable. I'm still in awe with how big this has gotten, but honestly, not surprised. So for anyone who needs to hear this, maybe TV executive, producers, people who are questioning why this has gotten so big, I'll leave you with this. Us women, we love our BL. So if you want a successful TV show, a devoted fandom, give us more. Thank you so much for watching this video and just watching me talk. Again, these are just my opinions and reactions. Feel free to disagree. Actually, I would love for you guys to disagree. Just let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you guys next time.